Hey, Miami's not a bad place, man. It's beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful city.
Breaking news from the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo is headed to South Beach.
It is Giannis and Bobby Portis to the Heat.
I was shocked. I was not expecting this news.
For 13 years, one city believed a single player belonged only to them. That belief just shattered. No press leak, no blow-up interview, just a signature on a Monday night that quietly rewrote the balance of power across the entire league. The man who once lifted a championship trophy meant to launch a dynasty now wears an entirely different jersey. And the franchise that just acquired him has built its entire legacy on turning stars into champions. This is not a goodbye story. This is a threat aimed directly at every contender standing in his path. Something dangerous just landed in South Beach, and most of the basketball world is still catching up to what it actually means.
It doesn't feel good, man. It doesn't feel good. Just gotta look myself in the mirror, and I just have to be better.
Go back to the single night that convinced an entire city a dynasty had arrived. In a closeout finals game, this player exploded for 50 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocked shots, a stat line so overwhelming that even seasoned analysts struggled to find a real comparison for it. That night delivered a championship, a finals MVP trophy, and a franchise that suddenly believed the best was still ahead. It was not. 5 seasons later, that same team crumbled to one of the worst records in franchise history, missing the postseason for the first time in almost 10 years. Their franchise centerpiece spent large chunks of that final season sidelined in street clothes instead of dominating on the floor. The dynasty everyone predicted simply never showed up. Poor roster construction, aging pieces, and one devastating injury after another slowly unraveled everything that once looked unbeatable. By the time this year's draft weekend arrived, the front office finally admitted what had been obvious for months. It was time to tear it all down and start completely over.
In Miami, it's a group of cost-controlled players, rookie-scale contracts.
What separates this exit from almost every other superstar departure in recent memory is the complete absence of drama surrounding it. When this teenager first arrived from overseas, barely known outside scouting circles, almost nobody predicted stardom. What followed became one of the most remarkable individual transformations basketball has witnessed in decades. Most improved player honors, back-to-back league MVP trophies, Defensive Player of the Year recognition, and eventually a championship run that placed his name beside legendary teams from generations earlier. He had countless opportunities to leave for a bigger stage along the way. He never took them. He kept trusting that his front office could finish building a real contender around him. That trust was never fully rewarded. A major trade for a star point guard ended in a season-ending Achilles injury during the following playoffs. Veteran depth pieces departed one by one. The roster around him thinned every single offseason, while his physical prime quietly kept ticking away. By the following winter, with his team sinking well under a winning record, he and his camp delivered one consistent private message to ownership across several months. It was time for both sides to separate. He never demanded it in public. He never staged a scene. He simply waited, patiently, until the organization finally faced reality.
Considering making this move because they know that their number 2 or 1A, as we say, wants to be number 1.
Now meet the man responsible for pulling this entire deal together. He is over 80 years old and has spent nearly his whole adult life constructing championship rosters. He guided a legendary Lakers dynasty to 4 titles as a head coach decades ago. He built a Miami powerhouse from nearly nothing. He landed a dominant championship center through free agency in the mid-2000s. He engineered one of the most famous super team formations the sport has ever witnessed back in 2010. And more recently, he convinced a hard-nosed two-way star to fully commit to his organization's culture when other teams questioned whether it would even work. This time, he executed arguably the boldest move of his entire career. Miami sent away their longtime leading scorer, a recent All-Star, alongside several promising young rotation players and a massive haul of future draft assets, including unprotected first-round picks years down the line. That is an enormous price. But in exchange, this front office landed a 2-time MVP, a 10-time All-Star, and the only player in league history to collect Most Improved Player, back-to-back MVP awards, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP within one career. Even coming off an injury-shortened season limited to roughly 30 dozen games, he still averaged close to 28 points, nearly 10 rebounds, and over 5 assists on elite shooting efficiency. Another Eastern Conference contender reportedly offered a competitive package built around one of their own stars. It still fell short. Miami got the deal done.
So, just to put it plainly, Giannis felt like his time was up with the Bucks a calendar year ago. The Bucks at every turn did everything they could to try to keep him. Giannis informed the team numerous times that it was time for both sides to move on. But listen, Pat Riley has landed his white whale. We know his history. Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo Mourning, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Jimmy Butler, and now Giannis is walking into Miami to play in South Beach with Bam Adebayo.
Picture exactly what this looks like once the ball is actually in play, because reaction across the league has shifted from cautious concern into genuine alarm. Miami already employed a versatile, athletic big man in his late 20s, a multi-time All-Star who can guard smaller ball handlers on the perimeter while still protecting the basket behind him. His individual defensive numbers ranked among the best of his career this past season. Now pair him beside a former Defensive Player of the Year who stands nearly 7 feet tall, moves like a wing in transition, and erases mistakes at the rim after covering more ground than almost anyone else on the floor. Combined, these two have racked up more than a dozen all-defensive selections across their careers. Under a head coach widely regarded as one of the sharpest defensive minds the sport has ever produced, this pairing could evolve into one of the most disruptive front-court duos basketball has seen in years. Offensively, this addition solves a problem that has haunted this franchise for years: the need for a true downhill force who can bulldoze toward the rim regardless of the defensive scheme in front of him. Everything opens up because of it. Passing lanes widen, driving lanes appear. His new front court partner suddenly has more room to operate than he ever had before. Of course, no blockbuster trade arrives without real questions attached. This roster still needs shooting, especially after losing its most reliable perimeter marksman in the deal. One returning wing is fresh off a career-best season and deserves top priority for re-signing this summer. Another veteran forward holds a hefty player option and is expected to stay, adding genuine two-way value on the perimeter. A steady, defensive-minded guard anchors the backcourt, while a physical, gritty rebounder arrives as part of the trade itself, fitting naturally into this franchise's identity. But the spacing concern is real and cannot be dismissed. Multiple key frontcourt pieces on this roster shoot well below league average from three-point range, meaning opposing defenses could sag off several non-shooters at once and clog the paint entirely. How the front office handles that gap through the rest of the offseason will likely decide how far this roster can truly go. Still, the underlying numbers offer real reason for optimism. This core group already outscored opponents significantly during shared minutes last season, even before adding a two-time MVP into the mix. Zoom out further and the entire conference picture becomes even more dramatic. The reigning conference champions do not have a single dominant frontcourt presence of this caliber. Another top contender has real depth but lacks one truly elite superstar. The team that lost out on this exact trade now has to face him instead in a playoff series. Several other franchises around the conference are still developing or fully rebuilding. The path through this conference has arguably never looked more open, and Miami just walked through that door with one of the most physically dominant players this sport has ever produced. For over a decade, the league told itself a comfortable story about what this player could and could not become. Held back by a smaller market, worn down by an aging roster, slowed by injuries that seemed to keep piling up. That entire narrative just collapsed overnight. Because the man behind this trade has never mortgaged the future to stay comfortable.
He mortgages it to win championships, and he clearly believes this 31-year-old former MVP, even fresh off his most injury-plagued season, is still exactly the player capable of delivering one. South Beach has already seen legendary stars walk through its arena before. It has never quite seen a pairing built like this one. The rest of the league just watched their biggest fear come true, and this front office is not finished yet. Do you think this pairing actually wins a championship, or does Miami still need one more piece? Drop your prediction below, hit like and subscribe for more breakdowns like this.